I just wondered if there's been a kind of an analytical process in all of this as well. If you looked at the way that they play, if you thought about your fit within the team.
I'm a big fan, by the way. I used to do the La Liga on Sky and all the channels in England, so I'm a big fan.
Okay, when I did see that, Sid, I know you're a bit embarrassed about it, but obviously...
He doesn't really.
But I was like, I wish I could see his reaction.
He's playing the hate card. I hate all that. But he went home to his missus and went, did you see what Bellingham said?
We all saw it. Sid, what was your reaction when he said that?
Well, I didn't really have one. I just sort of looked to the floor and tried to carry on.
Was it a case of mistaken identity, Sid? Was you actually on those channels he was talking about?
I'm absolutely, exactly. That is absolutely it, Craig. I'm completely convinced it was a case of mistaken identity. What I'm worried about is who I've been mistaken with. That's how bad it might be. Who could it possibly be?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, does he think I'm Dan Thomas? That's the really worrying thing. He thinks I'm Dan, doesn't he? That would be tragic.
I really loved when you were hosting those La Liga shows. I was a big fan.
You were great back then. Sid, are you going to use that influence and that blossoming bromance to help him settle in Madrid?
No, of course not. I'm not sure I'd be allowed to, even if I tried to. I mean, I do hope that he settles very well. And actually, Steve McManaman made an interesting point about this, that the situation that Bellingham's in is more akin to the situation that Steve was in. In other words, it was a deal that was on the cards for a very long time, that was going to happen a long time before it actually did, which of course means that some of those difficulties that you have when you first arrive can actually be dealt with really early. You know, you're not in a position where you're going to be stuck without a place to live. You're not in a position where you're sort of scrambling to find your place when you get there, because you've had time to plan for it. And so that should be beneficial. And if you look at the way that he and his family, who of course have seen through the deals, have managed all of this, then it's easy to imagine that they've managed every small element of it. I think they're very much on top of it. So it's not to say that, of course, there's a guarantee that this goes well, because there's all sorts of things that can go wrong in footballing terms, in personal terms, in terms of how you adapt, how you settle, and so on. But one thing's for sure, I think that the level of organisation and intelligence is there to suggest that he should be fine. And of course, the other big thing that I suppose makes Jude Bellingham different to some of the other players who've gone abroad from the UK is that he's been abroad before. So this isn't the first time he's been away from home, and we've seen very, very clearly in Dortmund that he has the capacity to do it. And so I think from that point of view, there's not really very much to worry about.
Sid, I think it's safe to say when you move to a club the size of Real Madrid, it's not just about the talent that you've got, but it's about how you handle particularly the pressure. And this guy, this kid to me just looks as if he's not going to be fazed. And he is still a kid, he's not going to be fazed by the enormity that's going to be in front of him. But the other thing that has come through to me is I don't think certainly not to my knowledge, I don't think I've seen a teenager sit in front of a press conference and move to a club with the Real Madrid with the panache and aura that Jude Bellingham seems to carry himself with. He just looks as if he's taken it all in his stride.
He was able to speak eloquently, speak intelligently, respond to everyone, but still say things as well, still give answers, still give some depth, still give some insight into him. And he was really, really impressive. I mean, genuinely, the Spanish guys after the press conference who cover Real Madrid, and this is despite the fact, of course, that they were listening to him through an interpreter and he was speaking in English, they were coming out of that room saying, wow, this guy's impressive. And bear in mind, I mean, all right, he's turned 20 now, but he was 19 doing that press conference, and there was no sense whatsoever, as you say, of being overawed by it, of being fazed by it. He seemed to be absolutely comfortable with the environment he'd found himself in, totally in control.
The only thing that could scupper his Real Madrid career, really, is if he ends up frequenting that karaoke bar that Sid Lowe, Dan Thomas and you used to go to.
I got dragged there. I actually enjoyed the Spanish culture.
It's the only thing
I wasn't going to Dan's Irish pubs every week and all the tourist bars, all right? Kieran, what suggests then for you that Jude Bellingham is going to be different to some of the British players before him who have struggled to settle abroad, especially in Madrid?
Well, the good thing for Jude is that he's got the ability to use the other players' experience and try and mould it into his own. So I think he's probably gonna. I wouldn't be surprised if he speaks to players that have gone there. Gareth Bale went there, and although he'd done amazing things, the Real Madrid fans seem to be one of the more unforgiving sets of fans in the world. So he would have spoken to so many players eventually that have been there, and he'll be able to use that to work out what didn't work for them and what did work for them. I think it's important that he speaks the language, or tries to, and adapts to the culture out there. And I think he just seems like an enthusiastic young kid that likes to learn and just, do different things. So I think he's going to settle in really well. I mean, surely the 100 million fee will give him a bit of cash to go and, get a place and not have to really worry too much about doing his laundry and stuff. So hopefully a lot of his off the field stuff is minimised so that he can just concentrate on his football.
He's one of the guys I have really no doubts is going to do. I really have no reservations about how he's going to play.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.